Warcraft, directed by Duncan Jones, brings the classic World of Warcraft PC game to the big screen. And this is the third video game movie to come out this year. This is the first live action video game movie, and this is going to be the one that's going to set the pace for all of the other video game movies. So this one has to be a success for them to really move forward, because I mean, obviously we're going to still have to look at Assassin's Creed, whether that's going to be good, but there's a lot of movies that are going to be coming out. This is like the next thing after like superhero movies, whether they're going to want to continue to make these video game movies, because so far, including the animated films, we have been running across the same pretty much consistent problem with all the movies. The visuals are fine, but it's the story that we're lacking, and we're not getting much substance. I personally have not played World of Warcraft, so this is going to be a review based on someone who doesn't know anything about World of Warcraft. But from what I understand, this is not based on any of the stories that are in World of Warcraft, but it does hint at it. So I think anyone who has played World of Warcraft, they might enjoy this movie a little bit more than your traditional viewer who knows nothing about the series or even the books, because I know they have books and like graphic novels on World of Warcraft as well. So the main story in the movie Warcraft is the land of the orcs is dying. They need to move out and go somewhere else. And this mighty orc sorcerer has the answer. He's like, I can take you somewhere. You know, everything is dying. We have nowhere to go. I have the solution. And their solution is they're heading towards Azeroth, where these humans are. And these humans obviously are going to be taking this as a threat, and they're going to be going to war. It's going to be orc versus man. But of course, while these orcs are being ordered around by this sorcerer, Gul'dan is his name, they're not necessarily on board with what he has to say. I mean, they're just following orders because they need somewhere to live. So Gul'dan creates this portal that will take them to Azeroth, and there's going to be a hellacious battle between humans and orcs, unless something happens to stop it. And of course, not everyone is on board with what Gul'dan is planning. Of course, at first they're like, okay, we need a new place to live, but they do not know at what cost this is going to be coming to them. They're going to be killing people, they're going to be invading someone else's territory. They're not processing this through, and it's not just like, oh yeah, let's kill some people and just take their land. Well, I mean, it might seem familiar in American history, but to them, orcs have a lot of respect, and some, not all, someone like Durotan, for example, one of the chieftains in the orc clan, is not satisfied. He's not okay with him just invading the land and killing all these people. Plus, he's a father, he's got another child to take care of with his wife, and he's just trying to settle down. He doesn't want to get anyone hurt. So Durotan and his clan and anybody else he recruits, pretty much, it's going to be them trying to team up with the humans to try and defeat this orc sorcerer who's become too powerful and just out of control. Now, this movie actually has another sorcerer on the human side, actually two of them. And we have the elderly one, and then there's a young upcoming like apprentice, I guess you want to call him. Again, another video game movie that has good effects. The visuals were great. I saw it in IMAX 3D. I think it was great. I mean, there were a couple of scenes where I could tell that it was like on a set, and you know that they just like put some rocks here and there and then just put a green screen behind them. But otherwise, the visuals were pretty good. Anytime we got a scene with the orcs, I think that was fantastic. I think Durotan, great. Those were the best scenes with the orcs. Once we moved over to the human side, that's where I kind of fell off, because that's where the acting wasn't all as good. I mean, they had some poor casting choices. I mean, Ben Foster as this elderly sorcerer, was not buying that, didn't like him. Then we had this other actor who played the king. I mean, they couldn't have chosen a more generic king ever for this movie. I just didn't give a crap about him. He had no emotion to him at all. Just didn't buy it. And then there was also this young apprentice sorcerer. Whenever he did like the magic, he would just be conjuring like spells and stuff and drawing in the ground, and these spells would just like appear. And the visual effects were good. It's the acting itself that I couldn't buy. I mean, like, it felt like it felt like one of those characters you would find on the Sci-Fi Channel. Whenever we would have like dialogue between Ben Foster, the young sorcerer, and even whenever the king would step into place, it was a disaster. The acting just wasn't good enough. Then we go over to Travis Fimmel, who plays Lothar. Here's a character that you want to like in the movie, but at the same time, he's playing like 10 different characters in the movie. It's hard to get behind this character. So you don't really care for Lothar, especially his son. Just not much development on the human side. Once we go over to the orc side, that was all great. There was a lot of Duratan, best part of the movie, and just all the orcs in general. That was the most interesting part of the movie. The human side, there was nothing interesting about it. Like, they should have just made an entire orc movie and just stayed away from this human aspect of it. And I think the biggest thing that hurt this movie, which was the ending. The ending feels so chopped off. This just reminded me of The Hobbit and Desolation of Smaug, where they just wanted to end the movie on a cliffhanger and say, watch the sequel to find out more. This was not the way to go, okay? See, with The Hobbit, at least there was another movie that came out before it, like The Unexpected Journey, alright? Or even people who have seen Lord of the Rings. It is an established series. People are going to go to see the sequel regardless of if this one movie was bad. It's kind of like Star Wars. Many people didn't like Phantom Menace. They still went to see Attack of the Clones and then The Revenge of the Sith and so on. And same thing with Harry Potter. People weren't satisfied with that Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. People still went to see Part 2. And again, Harry Potter, well-established series. 6 other movies came out before that one movie. Hunger Games, 2 movies came out before Mockingjay Part 1. They were well-established series, so they had something to fall back on. Warcraft, no one knows anything about Warcraft. Even if you've played the game, you don't really know what this movie's about because this movie makes references about the game, but it's not, the story's not from the game. So no one knows anything about the movie. There are some serious problems with the movie in terms of acting, and then when we're slapped in the face with that ending, that just isn't complete. You just destroy the whole point of the movie with that ending. You end it on a sort of cliffhanger like that and say, just watch the sequel. What's making me want to watch this sequel? You take the first movie of those series that I just mentioned, none of them end on cliffhangers. Because you have to establish, the first movie has to be established well for you to move on. This is the same problem people were having with Batman v Superman. It just felt like a setup movie. Well, this feels like a setup movie, and the second movie might be actually good, but this first one just isn't all that great because it's setting up the second movie. That's what it feels like. The ending was kind of unexpected, too. I mean, I was watching the movie, and then all of a sudden, the Warcraft logo pops up, and I'm like, wait, what? Is the movie over? And then the logo disappears and the movie continues playing for another 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh yeah, this movie's not over. But why did they just show us the logo? And then it ends 2 minutes later. I'm like, what? What is this ending? We have one of the orcs tell the orc sorcerer, well, let him go because the war's just begun. Really? This is how you're gonna end a movie? I mean, come on. If you weren't satisfied with the acting, the ending just destroys any chance you had of even liking this movie. The orcs are the only thing going for this movie. The effects are pretty good. That is about it. There's nothing else good. I mean, there is this one orc that's half human, so I don't know if you can consider her human. She might have been the best human in the movie, but she's not really a human. She's half orc. None of the performances by the human characters were any good. Nothing memorable. A lot of the dialogue was very forced, and you just didn't give a crap. You were actually probably rooting for the orcs to come in and kill them, and then you realize this whole story of some of these orcs don't actually want to kill the humans, and that's when you realize, oh crap, no one's gonna kill these terrible humans. We don't give a crap about if they die or not anyway. So I'm hoping that in the second movie, because there is going to be a second movie, I mean, clearly there's going to be a second movie, okay? This movie could have done completely terrible in the US box office, and they would have still made a sequel, because in China, this movie, broke the box office record in the history of Chinese cinema. It made, well over 400 million. There's going to be a sequel. The movie already hinted at it. Let's hope that the acting, they improve it. Hey, while they're at it, why don't they get rid of some of these characters and do some recasting, because the acting on the human side of things was the worst part of the movie. This wasn't a completely terrible movie, but it wasn't a great movie either. For a summer film, it's a good popcorn movie, especially if you want to go see it in IMAX 3D. Some people might have some problems with the visuals. I mean, I heard that some people thought that the visuals were a bit too cartoony, but this is based on a video game. I mean, I think that's what they were trying to achieve. They tried to go for that video game look that people are used to. So I think Angry Birds was the only one that kind of deviated from that and went like, well, let's make it like an actual animated film. But even Ratchet and Clank kind of went for the video game like look and try to base it on the game. So I didn't have a problem with it, but I can understand why some people might not have liked the visuals for Warcraft. But I think the visuals were fine. Motion capture was great, especially for Durotan. Motion capture looked amazing, and on visual aspects, the video game movies are not disappointing, but the visuals are not enough to be saving these films. It's all about the story, it's all about the acting, and in this case, the acting was half and half, not all that great, and the story, well, the story wasn't all that great to begin with, but that ending is what completely destroyed it, even if the story had a chance. Imagine Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone ending on a cliffhanger. Or Hunger Games, the first one, ending on a cliffhanger. Or Hobbit Unexpected Journey ending on a cliffhanger. You just can't do that. This is a movie we know nothing about. You cannot just set up a movie that we know jack crap about and be like, here, watch the sequel. People are going to react. It just felt like a setup movie. People don't like setup movies. Don't do this. Don't do this. And with that being said, I'm going to be giving Warcraft a C. It's not a terrible movie. But personally, I think I would recommend people go see The Conjuring. I think that movie is doing really well. But if you've already seen Conjuring 2, for instance, and you're thinking, well, should I watch Warcraft or not? Go check it out. I'm not getting a whole lot of like fantasy films out of this world. So go see it in IMAX 3D. I mean, if you're not going to watch it in IMAX 3D, probably don't watch it. Because the next movie we're going to get in IMAX is probably like The Legend of Tarzan at the end of July. So, an okay film. Could have been better. These video game movies are not off to a great start. They're going to have to rely on Assassin's Creed, which based on the trailers looks pretty good. But based on the trailers, this movie looks pretty good too. We're going to see Michael Fassbender, really good actor, so I think it's going to really depend on him carrying that movie, but obviously you can't just burden him. Story is going to be key for that movie. Start writing better scripts, because right now, these 3 movies, nothing memorable. In a couple of months, I'm not going to remember this movie, other than just a bunch of orcs attacking humans. Why just waste 2 hours when I could have just watched the trailer if I'm going to remember nothing from this movie? The visuals are the only thing going for these movies, and that's not going to go far. Alright guys, that is my review of Warcraft. If you've seen this movie, comment your thoughts down below. Did you enjoy this movie? Are you looking forward to the sequel? And would this be a movie that you actually recommend anyone else watch? Because I know there's a really mixed feel about this. You look at Rotten Tomatoes, and as always, Rotten Tomatoes has been hating on a lot of movies so far. And then you look at IMDb, and they're giving them pretty decent ratings. So there's like a mixed bag here, kind of like with Batman v Superman, sort of. So comment your thoughts down below on this movie. And as always, you can like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content. And I will see you guys next time for more unboxings, reviews, and movie news.